Alright, video. Kind of down. It's kind of sick of everybody and everything. So I was really watching a spook video before, and I didn't. Well, I guess I hadn't subscribed to Spook. But I'm really not, just not gonna bother watching his videos anymore. He's a jerk. Yeah, and he's crazy. So he's a crazy jerk, and that just doesn't seem like a valid use of my time. We did a rag, he did a video, he even self-described it as just a useless rag. He predicted I would perceive it as useless rag, and that's exactly what it was. And I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste an hour of my time ragging on Spook. I am sure he smells terrible. I'm sure he does. I don't want to talk about his farts. So whatever. Fuck him. Fuck him. But anyway, it's just Puro still spiritual. It's just such a dead medium. So anyway, Mystic is the video I'm dealing with now. So I thought we sort of had things resolved, and then he got all, I don't know what this reaction he has, these preposterous overreactions. So I'll play the end, the part he's complaining about, and just, when I was saying it, I'm saying there's no way somebody's going to misunderstand what I'm saying. I mean, the thought actually occurred to me, because I'm like, I don't want to go into this too deep. I did go into it. He stopped listening, so he didn't want to hear how it was contextualized. Yeah, and you're just saying, what's the point? Grow the fuck up.
This bit. We're not like birds collecting blue things. We're not doing completely erroneous things to facilitate survival. We do very coherent things to facilitate our survival.
And I stopped listening after that, really. I'll see you again next time. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, it's just silly not to recognize that different organisms would be more likely to acquire intelligence, and that the intelligence would have a distance, let's say, from the more visceral parts of their life. So the point I think I was validly trying to make is that, of course, we have agenda, like the bird collecting the blue stuff. And but there's a clear distinction between the agenda and our scheming mind. So our scheming mind satisfies desires that are pretty simple, okay? And they're not so distant from something obviously survival connected. So procreation and food, these are very connected to survival. Whereas in collecting blue things would be recognized by an intelligence to be, why is this bitch why is she horny for this blue shit? So it's almost like a bird like that would have to lose that passion, would have to lose that fundamental mechanism of survival differentiation, fitness, or to have intelligence. What they couldn't survive together was the point I was making. And that our intelligence, because of the fact that it was like a pure scheming mechanism, applies a thing called logic. That it's doing a kind of math. It's adding up the values. And it's really, again, just about getting the core values right, and it can do the math. So we're perfectly capable of doing math. We can do x plus y equals z thingy. We can do it. And we just have to do this variable thing correct. So it's that's more the point I was making, is that we don't, at least we have the advantage as organisms of not having something completely erroneous stuck into the equation. We're capable of getting it right. Where organisms that would have some kind of fanatic, fetishy, crazy thing stuck in their evolution would value something erroneously, and therefore their logic would be more likely to be flawed, because they'd have an epistemic, functional inability to proportionalize. And that's the only point I was making, using it for, was the point that we're lucky. I said the word lucky. you know, and it's probably not a matter of luck, it's probably the only way something can become highly intelligent is to clean itself of some of the rubbish of evolution, some of the psychological bits, and become rather crude in its agenda. So you could argue like a bear would be a good candidate for intelligence because, you know, it lives isolated, it has to scheme, and it's really scheming for only two things: its territory and its food. And you'd almost say its defense of its territory is about the food. But there is a little bit of a, you know, again, we all have, I guess you have to connect sex to hierarchies. So you have to say that there is some sort of, you know, aggression there. But bears are selective in their aggression. You know, they're careful not to waste it. They don't get into fights unless it's worth getting into a fight. They don't risk themselves stupidly. Where some other organisms, you know, the ones with horns and stuff, will crash into each other just for the fun of it. I mean, they'll jeopardize their survival at every opportunity. So, certainly territoriality, possession, humans have those things, and those things are very corrosive to them understanding, you know, perspective-wise, that it doesn't matter whether you survive or the other guy survives. You're not intrinsically better logically. Logically, there's been no test to prove that it's better that you live than he lives, besides your passion, besides your desire. And that's not proof or evidence. So obviously we're not being very logical in living a selfish individual life. That's not logical, it's not sensible, because you don't know whether you're the best candidate for survival. You haven't demonstrated it, you've just felt it. So, clearly these obvious corruptions, but I'm saying they're so simple, the corruptions are so simple, that those, I think, intelligence can work past those. They can have the conversation, there's more hope than if they have some visceral thing that says, I gotta howl at the moon, or something like that. Yeah. But that was it. It was a small point in a large video, and you're just demonstrating how, yeah, I mean, maybe humans just can't do it, you know, because they can't seem to follow along or put anything in reasonable perspective. I mean, this silly overreaction is, you know, from a person who is so disciplined in so many ways, you know, to overreact to one tiny part of the video where I was just making a point that, I mean, the major point that I was getting to in the video was that our scheming mind is basically functional as a rational device. It can do logic, and it's just about garbage in, garbage out, really. That was the point of the video. Is that religion goes in, garbage comes out. That's right. If you discipline a brain properly, if you maturate it without voodoo and bullshit, it will be a very logical machine. And it's just the lies and the nonsense, the Das Spook bullshit, the Puro bullshit, the faggots with their bullshit, so to speak. I mean, people, you know, I didn't. It's just, I'm not going to be able to reclaim this video now because of that word. But I just mean that, you know, these people are just prancing over reality. Okay, I was just using the gay metaphor as these people who have reacted to their own abnormality, their distinction from the norm. Okay, their difference from the norm, by making everything they do different than the norm. I mean, it's just a silly reaction because they have a different sexual preference. They have turned everything into a different, somehow to hide the differentness. Like, because everything about my existence is now different than you, you won't notice the fact that I'm gay? Is that what they're trying to do? Well, anyway, but that's almost what you're seeing with these people with their own special, unique languages and their own special, unique religions and their own I invented it myself religions and all this shit, is that they're just trying this desperately to distinguish themselves from the herd for ego reasons. And it all just seems so fucking obvious. So anyway, as a look, you're going to do this job out thing. You're bailing, fine. You know, I just do a critique that, yeah, I guess it's supposed it doesn't matter because you've never seemed to be very interested in doing any of this work. You just show up now and then, you know, to play with the ball that the rest of us have to dribble around the court for months at a time. And, you know, it'd be nice if you had a little energy to devote to maybe helping us learn how to speak to each other in a language that was more precise. You know, to learn how to say, my programs react to that with this response. My conditioning says I have an impulse to say, you know, this kind of language would be such an improvement, you know, versus the, you know, Puro rhetoric. He doesn't use the word sense, but what's that word he uses all the time? It seems. He says it seems all the time. Like that means something. I mean, it's such a vague way to put it. What do you mean? It seems because you thought about it, or it seems because you're feeling some stupid shit? Again, no precision in that kind of language. And so it'd be nice to be able to actually work on that collectively. I mean, I you know, again, I just feel like, well, you know, what, I'm the only rational person in this sea of shit. And it's just very discouraging. The critiques, the arguments I get from people are just so vacant and empty, are covered with this kind of let's play a game bullshit. I'll show a bluebird and mock what you're saying as, well, it must be silly because I'm not going to pay any attention to the context. Well, brilliant. Yeah, I'm not going to watch your video, but I'll comment on its content. I mean, shit. Shit. So, yeah, I guess that's it. So, I mean, I should work on my own movie thing, and, you know, just haven't had the motivation. But that's what I should just focus on and not get distracted by some sort of need to talk about it a little more, to get more grounded. But fuck it. You know, in some respects, I've done. You know, I've always kind of existed isolated, and any skill I learned, I pretty much had to learn on my own. You know, it's like I never painted with somebody or did anything. You know, with somebody actually knew how to do it. You know, or yeah, it's like I never had the benefit of a teacher. Or even somebody to talk to better construct an argument. I've always had to sort of do it in isolation. And so why should now be any different? I mean, yeah, okay, of course there is a medium with a ton of people on it that should be able to make an argument, but apparently they can't. So anyway. So anyway, just a useless, discouraged video, and I shall move on and continue as planned and whatnot. Yeah, just won't do it this second. I'll wait 10 minutes and see if I can get in the mood.